Love bombing can feel like a dream at first. Constant messages, intense compliments, fast commitment, gifts, future plans, and emotional certainty can make someone feel chosen. The danger is that intensity may arrive before real trust has had time to form. Love bombing is a pattern of overwhelming affection used to create quick attachment, control, or dependency. Not every enthusiastic romance is love bombing. The concern is speed, pressure, and what happens when the other person slows down. Speed and pressure can make the surface story look simpler than the real situation. Healthy affection respects pace. Love bombing often rushes pace. Someone may say, "I have never felt this before," after a few days, talk about moving in quickly, or treat hesitation as proof that the other person is ungrateful. Future talk too soon is often the detail that separates a quick reaction from a wiser response. The early stage often feels flattering because attention is powerful. A person who has felt unseen may be especially vulnerable to sudden focus. The emotional high can make caution feel unnecessary. The high of being chosen shapes what should be checked next. One warning sign is fast future talk without real knowledge. Plans about marriage, business, children, travel, or lifelong loyalty may appear before the person has seen how the other handles stress, boundaries, disappointment, or conflict. Pressure disguised as romance turns the idea into something practical rather than only theoretical. Another warning sign is pressure disguised as romance. "If you loved me, you would spend every night with me," is not affection. It turns closeness into a test and makes normal independence feel like betrayal. Gifts creating obligation deserves attention before the choice becomes harder to reverse. Love bombing can include gifts, but gifts alone are not the issue. The issue is whether gifts create obligation. If accepting kindness makes it harder to say no later, the gift may be part of control. Non-stop digital contact can quietly move the cost from the present moment into the future. Digital love bombing can happen through non-stop texts, calls, tags, photos, and public declarations. The attention may feel exciting at first, then exhausting. A person may feel watched rather than loved. Boundary response helps explain why the obvious answer may not be the best answer. The shift often appears when a boundary is set. If the affection turns into anger, guilt, withdrawal, or punishment, the earlier sweetness may have been conditional. Healthy interest can tolerate a slower pace. Friendship and group versions gives the situation its real-world weight. Love bombing can happen in romance, friendship, work, or groups. A new friend may declare instant soul-level closeness. A group may praise a newcomer intensely before asking for loyalty, money, or secrecy. Messy motives is worth checking when the first explanation feels too neat. People who love bomb are not always consciously plotting. Some may chase intensity because they fear abandonment, need control, or confuse emotional urgency with intimacy. The impact can still be harmful even when the motive is messy. Rare attention-lowering caution can decide whether the problem stays small or grows into a pattern. The person receiving it may ignore discomfort because the attention feels rare. They may think, maybe this is what real love feels like. That hope can silence the body's warning signals. Slowing the pace keeps the analysis tied to behavior, money, timing, risk, or trust. A practical test is to slow the pace and watch the response. Say you want time with friends, a slower commitment, or space to think. The response reveals more than the early compliments did. Consistency over time belongs in the decision because it changes what action would help. Another test is consistency over time. Real care becomes steadier as people learn each other. Love bombing often peaks early, then becomes unpredictable once attachment is secured. Healthy patience becomes more reliable when it appears more than once. Healthy love includes curiosity, patience, respect for boundaries, and room for separate lives. It does not require instant access to someone's time, phone, body, money, or future. Regaining routines should be checked before accepting the most comfortable explanation. If someone realizes they are in a love bombing pattern, the first step is to regain pace. Talk to trusted friends, keep routines, avoid major commitments, and notice whether saying no feels safe. Not shaming the target needs to be connected with the actual consequence. It is important not to shame the person who was drawn in. Love bombing works because humans respond to warmth, attention, and belonging. Wanting love is not the mistake, ignoring pressure is the risk. Ordinary life tests keeps the topic grounded in daily life. The healthiest relationships do not need to rush proof. They allow time for ordinary life. Boring days, small disappointments, disagreements, delayed replies, and honest boundaries. Intensity versus intimacy can be found in behavior, documents, timing, or repeated choices. Love bombing matters because intensity can imitate intimacy. Real closeness is built through repeated respect, not only dramatic emotion. Boundaries and time makes the issue easier to name in plain words. The useful takeaway is to enjoy affection without surrendering your pace. If the connection is real, it can survive time, questions, boundaries, and a slower road toward trust. A slower pace gives attraction enough room to become trust instead of turning intensity into pressure. That pause protects judgment. Love bombing can feel exciting because it creates intensity before trust has had time to grow. The attention may include constant messages, fast declarations, dramatic compliments, and pressure to become exclusive quickly. The speed is part of what makes it confusing. Love bombing is hard to judge because the beginning may feel like the relationship someone always wanted. The person may feel chosen, admired, and finally understood. That emotional high can make it difficult to notice pressure. The safest pace is one where affection and boundaries can exist at the same time. The warning sign is not kindness. Healthy affection can be warm and generous. The concern appears when affection comes with pressure, control, guilt, or sudden withdrawal when the other person asks for time or boundaries. The pattern becomes clearer when the other person does not get immediate access. Do they respect a slow reply? Do they accept a night with friends? Do they stay kind when plans change? Someone building real trust can handle normal limits. Someone seeking control may treat limits as rejection. A person can protect themselves by slowing the pace. Time reveals consistency. Someone who respects boundaries will not need instant access to every hour, every secret, and every future plan. They can allow trust to build without forcing it. A practical check is whether the pace leaves room for ordinary life. Healthy interest can survive work, family, rest, and personal space. Love bombing often tries to crowd those things out so the new connection becomes the center before trust has been earned. Love bombing is dangerous because it can make intensity feel like proof. Real love does not need to rush past observation, consent, and emotional safety. The clearest test is whether affection remains respectful when the answer is, not yet. That respect is the difference between excitement and pressure.